Well known for its ability to produce small vehicles such as the tiny Fiat 500 for the working people for years, Fiat has been known as an Italian top seller for decades. But did you know Fiat once sold a car that was in the sports car division that wasn't fast? This 1959 Fiat 1200 Turismo Veloce Spider is the perfect example of Italian upscaling, as this car was based on the Fiat 1200, which was produced between 1957 and 1961, with the Transformabile for export markets, being produced up to 1959. Except the size, it looks nothing like the Fiat 500, also sold by Fiat. The 1200 Transformabile was introduced in 1957 at the Turin Motor Show alongside the Granluce Saloon, following the pattern Fiat had with the predecessor of the 1200. Fiat had used many names indicating engine sizes, and for the 1100 and 1200 this wasn't an exception, as the 1100 and 1200 name indicate the engine size, and the Fiat 1100 was the base of the car that was used for the Fiat 1200, as the only main difference between the models was the engine and some of the styling elements. As the engine used in the 1100 was a 1.1 liter producing 36 horsepower, the 1200 used a 1.2 liter engine producing 55 horsepower due to an improved compression ratio. This gave the car a top speed of 140 km an hour, pushing the car from 0 to 100 km an hour in 21.4 seconds. Not so fast. Just like the 1100 Spider, the 1200 also had a Spider model, which succeeded the Spider model of the 1100 in 1957. Marketed as more expensive than the Granluce model, the 1200 Spider costs around 25% more than the cheaper Granluce Saloon. Eventually, it is safe to say that the Spider was less desired by the public, as only 2360 units were made in a 2-year production span, compared to the almost 400,000 units made of the Granluce Saloon. A unique feature of the 1200 TV Spider were the swiveling seats it had, which rotated outwards to facilitate getting in and out of the vehicle. Another unique feature about the 1200 Spider was the fact that it didn't have that many differences with the 1100 Spider, as the most noticeable change was the fact that it had bigger headlights. Eventually, as said before, the 1200 TV Spider was discontinued in 1959 after only 2360 units were made. After the discontinuation, the 1200 Spider was replaced by the 1200 Cabriolet, which was designed by Pininfarina itself. This model used the same 1.2 liter engine used in the Fiat 1200, but had a bit more power with 59 horsepower and a top speed of 5 km an hour higher, which was 145 km an hour. Also, the 0 to 100 time was improved, as it did 0 to 100 in around 3 seconds less, as the time was now 18.5 seconds. Besides the 1.2 liter engine, this generation also had a 1.5 liter and a 1.6 liter engine that were produced between 80 to 90 horsepower and was produced around 20,000 times, which was a lot more than the 2,360 units of the 1200 Spider that was made. The 1200 Granluce Saloon lived on for another 2 years after the Spider's discontinuation, up to 1961, with the second series introduced in 1959. Engine-wise, the Granluce Saloon didn't change and eventually was succeeded by the Fiat 1300 with a 1.3 liter engine in 1961. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and watch these videos about car history as well. And I will see you in the next video.